So today we have Kian from Penyak Industry. So one of the largest plastic recycling company in Malaysia. So from Johor as well. And Kian is actually my mentor and my good friends throughout the Endeavour network. Okay, it's a very tough screening and a network kind of entrepreneur style. So you guys might explore more later. So he was also Entrepreneur of the Year, EY. So I met him last 2 years, and I actually go to him for some my company problems and asking for some advice. So he actually gave a really good advice to me, and then we keep the contact for 2 years, and then we exchanging our ideas and all. So when it comes to this product development, Kian also shared me what he done to his company, all the tech stuff that I can't understand, Then when it comes to this product development, then I think that he is the person who is here to share with you guys the good tips on this. Okay? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. First of all, thank you very much for having me here. What you guys did in 3 minutes, I'll never be able to do that. Well done with the training and identifying all that. Okay, about what our company do. So we recycle. Yeah. So myth about plastic recycling. Number one, plastic recycling, is it sustainable? Yeah. Can this be profitable as a business? That means without government subsidy, can this actually be a business that grow by itself? Recyclers, all bad guys, mafia, hide in one corner, do all the things that in the process of recycling harm more environment than actually helping the environment that the recycler should be doing. China closed the border. You guys heard that? That means all the foreign garbage is now quietly come to Malaysia, and then that's what Star covers it. Last week, Penang, Chincharoen, and all these places, popping up with so many illegal ones. So what's happening with all this? Given all this, bad news, how could this be a business that that still has a future? So this should be a sunset business, or should we kill the industry altogether? That's what everybody is thinking. Okay, so my journey starts when I didn't choose recycling. I was born into one. So my parents are basically scrap collectors from household to household when I was 10. So it was a very small family affair. Yeah? So 4 siblings, my parents, and then we basically tried to make it work. My parents are extremely ashamed being a recycler. Yeah? So they always say, get a degree, any degree. Number 2, get out of recycling. It's a sunset industry, it's a dying art, you will never be respected, so don't become a recycler. So that's my parents' wish. So the first one, we did get a degree. The second one, I'm not sure whether it's reverse psychology, all sibling in recycling right now. So fast forward that, so we are now in metal recycling, paper recycling, mining recycling, and I'm actually in plastic recycling. So we believe we are one of the top 3 for metal, paper, and plastic. Mining is actually another one, a smaller segment that we are doing. So you can imagine, I have a metal brother, I have a paper brother, I'm the plastic brother. So that's how it's like. So when I want to jump into the business, we did a study, just like exactly what you guys did. And the biggest problem we found out is that the entire industrial chain for plastic recycling is highly fragmented into 6 independent operators. Company A only focus on collection, Company B only focus on separation, washing, crushing, mixing, and then finally, extrude down to the raw material. So A, B, C, D, E, F. So 3 big problems with that. Number 1, there's a lot of labor involved. Yeah? Number 2, a lot of non-value adding, that's logistics. Number 3, A, B, C, D, E, F not talking to each other. So everybody do what they like or what they think is right. And then the net effect is that as the material go from A to F, cost very, very high, quality very, very low because of the inconsistency. Therefore, the bad reputation about inferior material, high cost, and all the situation. So again, 2 decisions here. Number 1, okay, cover everything underneath the carpet, run away, find another industry. But number two, integrate all that. So when we talk about trends, yeah, so the first thing that we do with trends is that let's integrate all that. So we've spent our first wave basically integrating all 6 under one roof, so that we can reduce the labor by 40%, non-value adding by 60%. But most importantly, now A, B, C, D, F are talking to each other. So when they start to talk to each other, we can actually preserve the purity of the inherent base material in plastic. So what we do then is that we start to customize. Because we know the purity, we know exactly everything, in terms of its preserved pure properties. So right from the very beginning, we deal with everything. So it's almost a farm to play kind of concept, A to Z. So then we start to customize. So we customize different properties. Actually, this chair right here comes from our, this one comes from our material, because this is my customer. So this chair is invented because for plastic chair, a lot of people like to rock the chair. And then when you rock the chair, you shift the weight into 2 legs, and then it breaks. So what you do then is that you engineer the material so that you can have that sensation of rocking the chair while 4 legs are still intact. So you engineer the rigidity and the elasticity so that you get that perfect sweet spot. Our bestseller product is what we call a fast cycle plastic that we actually exported to Europe. So what it does is that flower pots, new flower pots using new material will take essentially 10 seconds to make. With our material, it's only 5 seconds. Yeah, simply because we make the chain a lot shorter so that everything flows a lot faster. So it's like a fast forward phase when you use the same mold, same machine, you can actually double the output. So in that case, we're not so much of selling the material anymore, we're selling time. So our market is then high production cost country. So if I were to sell this, I come to Malaysia and say, hey, I double your output. No need lah. My worker can do all that. How cheap are you? So I can't sell the price. But if I go to overseas, if I go to Europe, that it works in an automated, situation, I say, you know what, I can double your output. Fully automated, and then you can have 6 machines running at night and not a single soul is there. So essentially, then our customer is essentially this high production cost country when it comes to time. So the second thing is we induce protein inside plastic so that the plastic will break away, when we bury it under the ground. Now this, we have been having that for about 4 years. So who are the ones who are actually very critical about this? Land. When land is expensive, that they cannot afford to have that landfill to have plastic permanently there. Even though they go for landfill, it has to decompose by the local microbial. Then where do we sell this to? Japan. Places where land is expensive. So we're no longer so much in plastic business per se. So we have to dive deep into the value behind it and then basically find the right market for it. The actual delivery is still plastic, but the meaning is very different to every single one of our customers. So as it is, right now we have more than 600 formulas that we are doing. We're a global supplier to companies like LG, Panasonic, and in the pipeline are Honda, so on and so forth. So right now, today, we recycle about 1,500 tons of plastic scrap every month. 70% are exported to 31 different countries, and all the things that we do are 100% from plastic scrap itself. And the byproduct of whatever that we are doing, that besides the mechanical property we make into raw material that we export, the inherent byproducts still have other good properties. We look at the thermal properties, meaning the calories in it. So we make coal out of plastic. Now, unlike mineral coals, when you dig up from mineral, you may know the calories and all that, but other contaminants, you have no control over it. Sulfur, phosphorus, all these things are actually very, very bad for the air. So they have no control over it, and that becomes very, very difficult. That's why coal is bad. What we make is that we make actually coal from plastic. Calorific value are 3 or 4 times higher than mineral coal, and then we can actually make sure that the content for the nasty stuff like again, sulfur, chlorine, phosphorus and all that to be less than 0.01%. So very, very clean, and all that can come from plastic. So not only that, so when you give us a scrap, we will look at the mechanical property, we look at the thermal property, and then we look at the chemical property. So what we see beyond all the dirty facade is that this is the most dense when it comes to hydrocarbon resources. Everything is hydrocarbon that we see here. So what we do, we crack them up so that we have hydrocarbon gases. So from the hydrocarbon gases, we condense that so we make our own diesel. So we recycle our plastic scrap at the front, and then in the backyard, we have our little diesel station that you throw in this plastic chair into it on one end. In half an hour, it comes out as a biodiesel. It's like a peanut butter sauce machine. It's amazing. So from that, we then we generate the electricity, so that in the process of recycling, we generate our own electricity to recycle our product. So I'm sure the foundation, the institution teach you guys about multiple revenue. You just have to juice it. It's scrap, plastic scrap that we're talking about. Everybody throws away plastic scrap. And I built my career juicing rubbish. And that's what you guys have to do too. Every single bit, when there's a chance to juice it, just got to juice that. And then along the way, validate that, run experience, and then make sure there's always a customer behind it. So we build a lot of our formulation back to our raw material. We build a lot of our formulation as such that that's already a ready customer for that. I like to do what I call a reverse innovation. That any formulation that I go into to create or to innovate, that's already a customer already there that is dying and waiting for whatever half coat that comes up. Then you'll say that I can't get exactly what you want. It's not exactly the apple pie that you want. It's on top half cooked, underneath overcooked. Would you take it? They are so desperate. They say, okay, I'll take it. And that is something that's very important because why? It helps you lower down your innovation cost. Because anything half cooked, they'll take it. So to find someone like that, it helps you to actually speed the innovation. That's what I learned from my experience there. So, a quick note to what we're trying to share here is that, so from plastic scrap, we build what we call smart plastic, the portfolio of smart plastic. And from the smart plastic, we step one step further to create smart factory. So essentially right now, we are building 1 megawatt renewable energy out of plastic scrap, recycling all this plastic. And at the same time, we actually harvest rainwater. So that means without DMV and SAJ, our factory will continue to run 24/7, recycling 1,500 tons of plastic scrap. In fact, in terms of electricity, we have additional 14.77 kilowatt per meter square per year of electricity that we are generating. So the entire entity, smart plastic, is not only that it is energy neutral, it is actually net energy positive while recycling 1,500 tons every month. So that's something that we're trying to showcase, that when we talk about plastic scrap, what is important is the value that lies within. So let's go back and revisit some of the myths. The part about plastic, it's substandard, it's dirty, and then it is actually a costly exercise. That's we have actually proven that not quite. We make it profitable, we make it better in terms of quality because all that is actually customized, and we make it cheaper. So cheaper, faster, better. The thing about plastic here is that when we look at this substance here, if I finish my water, this is this substance. If you can make it to a lot of amazing things, you can make it to all kinds of plastic products. It's cheap, it's light, it is very low in terms of the overall footprint, and the same substance can actually help you to make coal, very, very clean coal, so that you actually don't have to mine anymore. And the same substance are basically the greatest source of hydrocarbon, super dense with hydrocarbon, better actually than our crude oil, yeah, depending on the application. And from there, you can actually get your biodiesel, you can get your hydrocarbon gases and all that. So if we have this source and the name of this substance is called plastic, is this a blessing or a curse? So the real problem here to think about is that, do we really have a plastic problem, or do we actually have a people problem? Thank you.
Right, talk up. One of my good friend Adrian said today that when you are good speaking in front of public and you speak in front of the camera, it's totally different. I always feel the same thing, but yeah, it's okay. I'm used to speaking in front of camera also. So the topic today is product development.
It works.
Okay, I think Feng gave you a very brief, very good introduction about me already. So, came back to Malaysia 2014, and then after that, traveled back and forth. Spent a good 1 year in Magic. Okay, so I founded Magic Academy, and what happened after that is, how many of you know Magic, by the way?
Not so famous here.
Okay. Apart from a friend from US, most of you are from JB, right? Yeah. So to JB people, right, there's no difference. KL, PJ, Cheras, Ampang. They all say, I go to KL. They say, yeah. You go to Seremban, so you tell a friend, you tell a parent, I'm going to KL. But actually, you're going to Seremban. So yeah. So it's okay that you all don't know Magic. So after that, I started my B2B startup. So iStream 360 data analytics. So I did a lot of work on data science, big data, AI, basically whatever buzzword that you hear. Okay, we do that sort of stuff. And then train a lot of data scientists, engineers for corporate. So that's where B2B business make most of the money. And then we provide Johor Corporation. You heard of it, right? Johor Corporation is my main client, so I handle their entire data platform for QSR, KFC, Pizza Hut, KPJ. So their data is on my hand. And I'm also the state advisor for Smart City and BDA. So currently state advisor for Johor. I don't handle the Iskandar side. I handle the Pengerang side. Yeah, Pengerang, IBD. Okay. And yeah, that's about it. Microsoft Excel World Champion. That one we can talk offline. It's okay. So three companies. iStream is the product company. UCAN is the consulting company, and then Lead is the academy that Feng has mentioned. So just like most of you, okay, just like all of you, when we started that time, we don't have such leisure or luxury even to have this sort of courses. They have it in US, but this is in Brisbane. So back in Brisbane, there's no such thing. Okay, basically a couple of guys, you want to do tech. You heard about Mark Zuckerberg a little bit at that time. This is about 2011, 2012. So Facebook is kind of taking off, but not that good yet. This is the year, about the same year that Airbnb got funded as well. Yeah, so it's about the same time. So we look at Airbnb. The key problems that, so you realize that when I criticize your presentation, it's always about the problems, always about the product, because when you're not clear about your problems, then you're not clear about your product and the problem that you're solving. But the main problem is that I understand where I'm coming from. Okay, I come from a solution perspective, meaning that any problem you throw to us, we'll write a couple of lines of code and write a little program to help you to solve the problem. So fast forward, this is cooperating team. Cooperating team is what we did is the original idea was let's say you are an electrician, okay? I'm a plumber, so I go to your house to fix your piping for you, and then you come to my house to fix electricity, and then we butter trade our skills, and then we give each other point. It's a perfect idea in a sense, okay? Back then, but we face the same problems. It's very hard to monetize. So eventually we pivot a few times, and then we become a skills platform where we sell to B2B company, I hate corporates, okay? I really, really hate corporates, but I always end up in corporates. I don't know why. I really don't know why. I worked in academic before because I'm a researcher, PhD. I worked in government before. I worked in industry before. So I have a very complicated and mixed background. So eventually, this project become we sold it off to B2B business, meaning that what happened is that let's say you're a company, you're a consulting firm or what, right? You want to organize an annual dinner, but you always need to hire MC, you always need to hire dancers, magicians, but someone from your employees, they must be able to do that. So we use this platform to help them to match those skill sets and manage their social projects. So that's what eventually. So the next one is Hero Boyfriend. Okay, Hero Boyfriend. The idea is very simple. Okay, when I started Race Fund, that was the year that everybody is talking about chatbot. Yeah, chatbot has a very short lifespan. Right? It live for about a year, and then everybody forget about it. So that's what we do. We do a very quick thing. So we went in, we said, well, I know AI, I know natural language processing, I know chatbot. And so we build these things. But how do we make money is, okay, so let's talk about Hero Boyfriend, the product name first, right? What is the common problems that your girlfriend or your wife complain about you?
Not romantic.
Not romantic. But what is, let's do a bit of exercise, but what is the root cause of the problem? That is not a problem, right? That is just a comment, right? You're not romantic. But what is the root cause of the problem?
Time.
No time. No time is also not a problem.
Five hours.
Not creative. Not creative, right? But you guys have to remember, now you are developing a product, so you must be able to tell problem, pain points, and also your solution and versus features. Okay. So what is the key problem here?
You forget about it.
Yes, but that's also something that happens, right? But the key problem here, you're lazy. On camera, I hardly swear, by the way. Lazy, okay? They're damn lazy. Okay, so this app is very clear. Our target audience is very clear. If you are romantic, you are not our target audience. Our target audience is lazy boyfriend. Full stop. You're lazy, okay? You're lazy to think about where to eat. You're lazy to think about what movies to watch. You're lazy to think about what gifts to buy. And that's okay. You are our target audience. Okay, and the way that we monetize it is very, I'll explain to you, like pretty like that. Okay, so we'll start to send you reminders, okay, from 4 weeks before. Let's say your anniversary. Masabe, you can ask, what is Adam? Aaron, right? Yeah. So Caucasian very boring, right? They only care about anniversaries, birthday, that's all. Valentine's, right? But in Asian culture, you got damn a lot. You got Mid-Autumn Festival. Who's married? Who's married here, right? Married here, right? I'm not too familiar with Indian festivals, but Chinese Mid-Autumn festivals, Dragon Boat festivals, grandfather's death anniversary, grandmother's death anniversary.
Sounds very familiar.
That's always how we started. We got another project. That one, phone and tell offline. That idea. So 4 weeks before the anniversary comes, we'll start to send them reminder, push notification. Those are technical stuff. We won't go into it. But when that happens, right, as a lazy boyfriend, what would you do when you see a notification 4 weeks before the anniversary? Snooze, right? Yeah? Okay. So 4 weeks before, we sell you the price at the same price, normal price that you get. Okay, free delivery. 3 weeks before, we send you a notification, so you ignore. Okay, fast forward. 3 days before, this is where things get interesting. You start to get panic. Oh, anniversary is in 3 days time. Whatever price that we ask them to buy, and whatever terms and conditions, you just say yes. Okay, you can put any buzzword behind this. I'm the one presenting, by the way. I can say this is AI-driven e-commerce. This is mobile commerce, anything lah. Depends on which VC I'm pitching to. Okay, so we ended up with 300,000+, and then we sold it off to a retail company. This is how it works. It's a very quick war, short win, that sort of stuff. It's still running. I still got a bit of shares, and then my partner is still running it, but the majority has been sold to a retail company. Okay, so you understand the background of a product, so you have to be very clear about target audience, and we target those as above 25 and then below 50, that sort of range, because they can pay, they can afford, yeah, and they're busy. So you always have to tie something that's towards their culture and their values. So you cannot call them lazy boyfriends, but when you advertise, you call them busy boyfriends. Busy means, oh yeah, make sure you're very busy. Yeah, okay. This one got no race, no nothing. Everyone in the world they like to be called busy. Yeah. Okay, so you understand how it works. Okay, alright. So this is the background. Now for your question for your, what is a startup? Why do you do a startup? Anyone? Hey.
Make a difference to our existing tenant.
You sure? You sure?
Make money basically.
Okay, now this is the thing. I'm not the chicken soup type of guy though. So I won't tell you that you need to work hard. Chicken soup you can check with other FI chapters. What do you call? History there, okay? They tell you other stuff. You have to work hard, you got to be passionate. I don't talk about those sort of things, okay? If you run a business, basically you have to make money. Yeah, you either make money now or later. Okay, but for first time founder, I would rather you learn how to make money first, then only learn how to burn money. Okay? Now you have to think about this one. Okay? What is the startup to you? If you really have a problem that you want to make a difference, yeah, then that's good on you. Okay, you're on the right track. But if you just really want to make money, I will advise you that startup is not the easiest way to make money. Put it this way. Kian, everybody will agree. Okay, so yes. So simply say, right? I think the veterans here, they cover all the business model already. So you have a lot of different different business models like B2C, B2C, and this business model has been discussed many times in China, Taiwan, everywhere. All right, but when we started, we don't have this sort of formal education, so we figured everything out on our own. So if you want to do startup, this is the model that you have to learn. Okay? So the first thing is you have to figure out how to get traffic. This is like the rocket model. If you know Chinese, you go and Google 火箭模式. This is typical China startup model. Okay? You figure out the traffic first. And most of you figure out the traffic. Okay, you are able to draw crowd to your website. You are able to draw crowd, attract some eyeballs. That's fine. Okay, but most of you fail. Okay, or die at the part where you can't set the context. Okay, there are a lot of people selling books. There are a lot of people selling audios, CDs, and stuff. But the context that you set up here is totally different. Okay, like when I set the context, later I'll go into that part, the one. And then the last part is your profit model. Okay, so you look at the two sides, right? The profit goes up, meaning that at traffic generation period, you usually don't make money. Yeah. And even when you set up your contacts, you don't make money. Think of it like even for brick and mortar shop, B2B, normal shop, it's the same thing. You rent a shop, you rent an outlet in supermarket or shopping mall, right? You get traffic and then you set up your contacts for them to buy, alright? But usually you only make money when they actually transact with you. Yeah. But the traffic is getting lesser and lesser, meaning that if you get your 1 million people here, 500 people end up here, and then another 5-10% will end up be your profit target. Okay, let me give you an example. So when we started Hero Boyfriend, right, we give a couple of different things to do the mobile download, alright, to bring the traffic. Free mobile apps, talk about AI, okay. Back then everything AI, everything chatbot people will download, no matter what. Yeah, no matter what. Just say this is a new AI app. Yeah, people will download. In Malaysia, I think it still works to a certain extent until today, especially TV. Yeah. You look at those TVB dramas, you look at those, they'll tell you, TVB drama only they start to do startup and teaching. I think Singapore, they do it early this year or last year, I forgot. There's one drama last year, right? There's one drama about startup. I wasn't here. Okay, so, and then we do a bit of content marketing. So for Hero Boyfriend case, our content marketing will be travel tips and relationship advice. Yeah, this is where their pinpoint lies. Right. So after that, we need to set context for them. Right. The context that we set here is to turn a boyfriend into a superhero in anniversary, important dates. That's the context that we set. You cannot you cannot skip this part. This part is super important because most of you guys, when you're pitching your product, the context is missing, right? Yeah, okay, say tour AD, right? I'm a tour agent, so you have no difference from the others, right? And say you guys figure out your own context. Alright, so I turned a boyfriend into a superhero in important days, like anniversary, weekend. Later on, right, later stage in my startup, we also provide cooking tips as well, 5 minutes recipe, that sort of stuff. And then lastly is how do we make money from them? E-commerce purchase. Yeah. There's no one single startup that we met that they don't make money. Even like Grab or Uber, those sort of scale, they make money. They definitely make money. It's just when do they start to monetize from you? That's all. It's just a matter of time. Okay. And any quick question at this stage? No, we can take questions after this. Alright. So now the key question: what is the product? Anyone? Everybody talk about pain point and stuff. Okay, fine. But what is the actual product that you are building to help your customers? Anyone? Just one. Just one or two answers.
Solution to the problem?
Okay, solution to your problem. But what is your actual problem?
The pain point?
Pain point, right? But what exactly is a pain point? Now, most of you, when you pitch, you never tell me the customer pain point. You have 3 minutes, you talk about a lot of things that the problem, like the word of mouth thing that I asked you, right? Is that using word of mouth a real problem, a real pain point? I'm so lazy to open my mouth. Never mind, let's use other method. Right? That's not a problem. Right? It's not even a pain point. But what exactly is a pain point? A pain point is something that is so painful that you cannot tahan. And if you cannot get rid, you will do whatever it takes to get rid of the pain point. If you can find something like that in your industry or in the field that you're working, then your startup has higher chance to succeed. Okay? Yeah, so that's what your product is going to do. Okay? So in most cases, right, your product can be classified into 3 categories. 你只要会按那个铃啊 Ready? So better watch. So there are 3 types: candy, vitamin, and painkiller. Right? Due to the time constraint, you can figure out the definition of this by yourself. Okay, how do you sell these 3 things is exactly the same as how you will sell this product. Okay, let's go to the next one. Yeah. So let's talk about vitamin product. Alright, vitamin product is something that enhances your experience, not performance. Okay, enhance your experience. So it's called a vitamin. You don't really need that. You feel good after you eat that, but if you miss it once or twice, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really bother you. Okay. Now, it goes along the line with the amount of pain, but amount of pain itself is not sufficient to decide whether you want to build the product or how you're going to monetize or your business model. It also depending on the frequency of use. Okay. Now, painkiller is easy. That means you use it when you are in pain, like Panadol. Okay. And this one is low frequency and low pain, something like candy type. Yeah, this one you stay away from it. Yeah, if you realize that your product falls under this category, the pain point is not high, the frequency of use is very low, the usage is very low, then you better pivot or drop the idea. Yeah. Okay. Now, what is the last one? Last one is the addictive one. Okay? Addictive is something that you feel very uncomfortable if you don't use it. So, quick question: what type of ad is a vitamin? Spotify. Okay. So when you buy vitamin, how do you buy it? Do you buy 1 tablet or 2 tablets? 1 box, 1 bottle, right? Yeah. So Spotify, if you think that it's a vitamin, that's why they sell you subscription. They don't sell you one off. The moment you buy 1 month. Better off you buy 12 months. Right? So that's how they sell it. So that's how you model your business as well. Your startup product or your tech product. Something that's low pain and low frequency. basically those apps that you hardly download, like the ruler app. Okay, iPhone latest iOS 11 or 12 latest feature the ruler app. I don't know why, but that's very low pay, very low frequency. The ruler type of application. Okay, painkiller use when you need it. Waste. Alright. In JB your pain level is not that high. There is somewhere around here, but in KL you will die if you don't use waste. In KL you will die if you don't use waste. So it's very high amount of pain, but your frequency of use is quite high depending on who you are. If you are a Grab driver, you are probably addictive already. Now what sort of app is an addictive app?
Facebook.
Facebook.
Facebook, right? Instagram and Google. Yeah. Most important thing, your games. Those are addictive ones. You do whatever it takes. But you have to remember those in-app purchase, those tokens, right? They tackle you one thing only. It's all about psychology. The uncomfort level, right? The discomfort that they're giving it to you. You don't open Facebook for when you wake up, right? What is your feeling? You have to reflect on yourself. Right? You feel like missing out. You feel like you don't know what's happened to your friend, right? You don't care about yourself, right? You care about what happened to your friend. Yeah. Right? You open Facebook, if you see somebody relationship change from in a relationship to single, you straight away like that, your eyes open already. Straight wake up. Okay? So many of that's why I say when we started business, including Hoe, myself, Ian, when we started, we don't have a framework like this to help you to think. Yeah. Alright, so then Chinese say we blah blah like that, we enter business lah. Okay, that's how it works. Okay, next. The next thing I'm going to talk about is a name. Right? Many of you, when it comes to naming, also you're quite lazy in a sense. Okay. Anybody here loves sejarah? I underline wrong there. I underline sejarah. Anyone loves sejarah? What is sejarah? Study Singapore. Product error also know. You know what sejarah?
History.
But when you say history, right, you hate it. But when you tell people you are watching Son of Descendants, okay. Okay, I got a few more slides. Same one. Yeah, for Chinese, study history cannot. Watch this drama, okay. Okay, no one more. English also. Read history, you don't like. Watch Alan Turing movie, okay. So that's the problem here, right? I fast forward this part a little bit. Basically, when you look at it, right, it's about how you present your thing, yeah, how you package your thing, how you name your thing. So if you name it history, die straight away. People get turned off. But are their content the same? Their content exactly the same, but it's the way that they present it to you, they deliver to you is different. Okay, so this is something that you have to think about when you do your product. I got a lot more things to talk about, but we can do it in QA, and also it's too early to talk about it in your stage, the ideation stage. But got the three things for you to think about it. Yeah. Okay. Whenever you build your startup product, right? Your startup is all about these three things: product, traffic, and conversion. Yeah. You should always remember these things. Get your product, drive traffic, and then figure out how to convert these people to pay. And if you are first time startup founder, I mean most of you if you are in FI program, you should be your first time or second time. I would suggest you figure out your conversion way before, how to make money. And when you draw those charts, please, your 47 billion and 12 billion, the bubble size is the same. Yeah, fix that. Okay, fix that. Get some templates from Envato or whatever, Team Forest, or okay, they're not that expensive, alright? Okay, the next one is do it within your means. Okay, as a startup founder, there's this thing, the CEO. This is the skill that you need to have. Is you all don't know what to do. Okay, when we question you about what is your industry standard, like for example, Pretty, I ask you what's the commission that people take a cut from you? Is it 5%? Is it 10%? You need to figure that part out. Okay, then do it within your means, so that you know what's the baseline, you set a benchmark, then you can innovate and disrupt from there. Otherwise, you don't know how much better you're going to be. The same thing, same comment I give before. cheaper, faster, better, this is given already. If you can't hit 3 of these, right, then your idea and your product is not good enough. Yeah. That's definitely the baseline. You must at least hit 2 of them, or 1 or 2 of them, right? Okay. Let's say your barrier is only cheaper. Somebody with more money, they can come in and do for free. Then you straight away go. Okay, so think along that line. Do it within your means, and then usually Q&A session, people ask me, so how do I know where's my means and stuff, or when should I start, when should I stop, right? That's the skills that you need to have as a CEO. As a startup CEO, you need to know when to do, when to start. You want to chill or you want to stay back. Okay, that's you as a CEO, you have to know. And the last one is aim for monopoly, no matter how small is the niche. This is something that startup founder needs to always remember. Okay. No matter how small is your niche, 5 minutes morning already. Scared. Yeah. Okay. So identify your niche. There must be a niche that is empty, there is a gap there that's waiting for you to fill, and that's where disruption, all this thing, innovation comes in. Of course, we will always ask you the same question. If that's the case, why some of the big guys are not doing it and stuff like that? Yes, that's something for you to think. But sometimes the big guys are just too busy to notice those areas. Right? You can check with Kian. His industry is definitely the most competitive that you heard of. Alright. So last one is so if you want to get contacted, these are my details, and thank you very much. Bye.
I know.
I have
Yes.
a question for Kian, right? There's something that very interesting that you've been bringing up during the sessions about the value creation part, right? So do you mind kind of like helping us to kind of like break down a little bit? How do you think about it? Like
What's
let's
the
say
thought
even
process?
Yeah.
what's the thought process? How you kind of like think about the value creation process?
So for me, when I look at the value creation, I look at when someone uses my product compared to the conventional product that whatever I'm comparing with. So how he used the other product, how many steps he has to go through. Okay, for example, in my case, if they want to, I benchmark my product against new material. If someone wants to use new material, he has to buy the new material. He has to, he's stuck with a very generic specification. He needs to use additive. He needs to add in color. He needs to make sure that everything is correct after that. Then only he can make his final product. So that's the many different steps. So when they use my product, all 3 in 1. Everything is under that. You open that in, pop it into the machine. It's all done. So essentially, is that how do I change the pattern, or how do I simplify the process when they use my product? So I think for me, that is something that's actually very, very key. Do you change the pattern? Do you simplify the process? So that's one way of looking at it.
Any other questions? This is your question, right?
No, I mean, this is just specific of this plastic industry, very interesting, right? The whole current conversation with plastics,
Correct.
right, is stop using it.
Yes.
And I guess the problem with recycling is also, it's not so much the problem with plastic, but the fact that percentage of recycling is very low. Is there a way of tackling this? I'm just wondering, how do you see this? How do you see this current conversation affecting this?
Okay, so there are 3 parts to this problem, and to your question, and they're all big questions. The first one is about single-use plastic. So a lot of people try to ban the single-use plastic. Single-use, like for example, the cups that we're using right now. The plastic bag we're using right now, the food container. Okay, so that's single-use. But if I were to put that and stretch it further, my Maggi mee wrapper, single-use also. My sachet, single-use also. My shampoo bottle, single-use also. A lot of time I do refill. So where does it end? So this is one thing that a lot of people are thinking that if you cut that down, you will reduce the basically so much plastic, because plastic is it's getting to a point that is somehow addictive. Actually, the point is not about addictive. It's because when you talk about the footprint, it is actually the one with least footprint. When you combine 3 essential footprint: carbon footprint, water footprint, and resources footprint. So that's actually something the least, it's actually the best way of doing it. So our problem then goes into the second part, which is actually recycling. Recycling technology has actually evolved a lot, but unfortunately a lot of in the recycling industry, the operators in general are not very high in terms of bandwidth. Education, resources, technology, articulation, therefore it remains as a very misunderstood area. So, for example, printing, plastic recycling, whatever that has a bad reputation, that is the natural barrier of entry. It is a natural barrier of entry, so it presents a lot of opportunity. So recycling works, so come up with a way whereby everything is net positive, that will become something that is very, very essential. So going forward, how do you scale this? Essentially, we talk about share economy, we talk about the key thing then is actually coming up with ways with the shortest footprint to complete the entire life cycle of plastic from how it is being made until it is being consumed and then rechannel into the whole industrialization again. So if we could actually string the entire footprint in terms of carbon footprint, water footprint, and resources footprint, that would be an amazing winning factor. So that's about going forward.
Any other questions?
Dr. Lau, can you talk more about the setting context of the rocket model?
So, start with
The construction.
okay. So when you talk to somebody, right, about contractor and subcon, there's no context to them. Basically, probably the first thing come to their mind is Portugal. The only, like, I ask you contractor, right, the first thing that you think about is Portugal, or you happen to know those failure projects or whatever. So what sort of context you want to set to them when they look for it? You want to set to them, like, okay, now you're handling a large project like ECO and then you're looking for a subcontractor, or now you're doing a renovation project for your own house or your office, then there's work $500,000 and then you're looking for contractors and then they're looking for subcontractors. Those are the contexts that you need to set. Yeah. And then only when the context is set, right, then only they know what to look for. Same thing for like the international school case, right? If you don't set the context right, you just like, so who is looking for international school? Is that the father is looking for it, or the mother is looking for it, or the grandparents are looking for it? And you have to understand who are your competitors, right? And then that's all part of the context. Yeah. And I'll give you another example, right? You have Lazada, you have eBay, you have Taobao, you have Lelong, you have Muda. They are all selling the same thing, right? Including Carousel, Shopee, etc. But some people, they just like to go to a particular website to do something. Some people, they just like to go to the other one. So what is the context here? Okay. So for example, Lazada is good because you can find all the products that is in Malaysia, in China and stuff. They have very good categorizations and then online delivery, so less as streamlined and that thing. So that's one context if I want to buy something. But there are some stuff, let's say anything for me, anything above 2,000 ringgit and it's electronic product, I would rather go to a shop. I just want to see, feel it, hear the sound of the machine and stuff, I want to test it. That's another type of context. Okay, so what is the context here that you are setting? So think about your case, right? Who is going to use your service? Yeah. So if you can't set the context right, then your profit and your monetization part will be very, very difficult. Because you don't know who to make money from.
I think this question also raised by Johnson last week, right? I mean, who is the decision maker of the appointing the subcon? Is it the company secretary or is it the boss? You know, I am as a secretary. I find 3 codes, then I let my boss to decide, or my boss tell me, you decide, right? So who is the one who's going to make the decision? So that will be your particular user. You know, we all it's B2B, yes, but who is the one who's making the decision? I think that is also what Dr. Lau trying to say.
Yeah. I'm using something that's more applicable to everybody lah. Yeah, put it this way.
Any other questions? Since we're in product development, right, and I know a lot of you guys are very new to product developing your own product. Like Joel, you're planning to engage someone else, right? Some of you are trying to do it yourself. Some of you are trying to hire some freelancers or even find co-founder to do it, right? So maybe we can invite a mentor to share a little bit in terms of the decision-making process. So if I were to hire someone else to do it, right? What's the kind of resource that we expect to kind of like put in? If we are going to do a freelancer, getting freelancer to come in and do, what will be the consideration and what are the key things that have to be really taken care of? Then the third thing is, let's say if we were to really kind of try to find a tech co-founder to do it, and then what are things that they need to really be careful of? Ken, yeah.
Okay, so imagine you're running a restaurant, right? And you hire a head chef. Now the head chef say, Om low lah, what are you going to do? Now the same head chef, you know, in KL there are a lot of restaurants closed down just because the new government changed the policy. They have to send most of their foreign workers to go back to their home country. So what are you going to do? So I'm always the tech guy. You ask for I'm always the most cocky guy in the whole startup community because I don't have problem. You don't have to be the CEO. I change another CEO. There are plenty of CEOs I can pick from, right? But the problem is you can't do everything by yourself. Eventually, I still have to hire somebody to do. I can't do marketing, for example, right? I still have to get someone to do content marketing for me and stuff. I can get a CEO to do the operations, CEO to do that. Yeah. So as a CEO, I think one of your key skills is sell. Right? You need to sell the idea to your technical co-founders, or even you hire somebody, you have to sell the idea to them so that they're willing to do it for you and they will stay. Okay, so that's one of the key skills. But more related to Feng's question is that which one the risk is higher? If you don't know tech, right, your risk is at the highest. Always outsource the part that you know how to do but you don't like to do to other people. At least that's my habit. I pick up something I know how to do already, but I just don't know how to do. I outsource it to somebody. Facebook ads, I know how to do Facebook ads, bidding and stuff. I know, but I don't know time to do, so I can outsource it to somebody else. Yeah, but if you're just at the stage of building a product and you have totally no tech knowledge, meaning that you don't even know what is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, you don't even know what is front and back end, you better just come to my class. Thanks for the setup.
No, I just want to build upon on what Dr. Lau has just said. If you do not know that, at least know how to appreciate the good one and the bad one.
Yeah.
So when someone present you an architecture, just at least have enough knowledge to appreciate the good one and the bad ones. I'm unlike Dr. Lau, I'm trained as a mechanical engineer. Yeah, I buy, I invest, I come up with R&D, with everything and all that. I bought all the machineries, whether it's metal, paper, mining and all that. All machineries, I buy everything one. But my car break down, I'll call someone and say, my car break down, what happened? I say, I don't know. I have no idea how it works. I know how to repair things. I don't even know a lot of time how to own the machine that I bought. But the important thing is I know how to appreciate what is the strength and the weakness and the beauty of the product being built. So at least when I know how to differentiate, it gives me a lot of power in choosing the right person and the right architecture for my product. So at least you need to know how to appreciate. At least you need to learn enough to appreciate. That's what I need to add on.
Any other questions?
One, Dr. Lau, to see what's the trend, that you foresee based on your experience, like on app and all that. Is it still a growing trend, or will it plateau, or will it
Mobile
how
apps,
many apps can a phone hold eventually, we keep
No, mobile is definitely the trend, right? Mobile is definitely going forward. If you talk about major technologies like AI and stuff, that one is way too early, at least for Malaysia. So Malaysia is about three years behind Australia. Australia is about another 3 to 4 years behind US. So yeah, in total we're 6-7 years behind US and China. So mobile is definitely going to be the trend. Look at things like, okay, very simple, cashless payment. How many years Singapore has implemented that? How many years we have been talking about implementing it and still not happening, right? And there are a lot of other stuff. So mobile is definitely going to be there. Yeah, a lot of things is going to be happening, especially for those millennials that they grow up. And then people like our age, eventually when we grow old, there are a lot of things that we're still based on PC. Yeah. So the core needs of the human, like for example, we need information, we probably don't read newspaper anymore, but we still go on Facebook and blogs and stuff to consume information. Yeah. So I think as a startup founder, your job is to figure out where the problem is and the rest of the platform and stuff. Many people mix up about the advertising part where, let's say social media, right? Who is the media? Who is the media in social media? Or what is the media in social media? Yeah, it's actually the users, right? We're actually the users. Whether Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, those are channels. So you think along that way, then you realize that the rest of the stuff, and because Malaysia, we started off with PC, but China, they started off with mobile. So you have to understand your market very well. That's why they use QR code so happily. They snap here, snap there. But in Malaysia, nobody use QR code. Yeah. Even the iPhone, the latest version has a QR code feature, and they call it a new feature. I also don't understand. Okay, so, but moving forward, mobile. I will still bet on mobile.
Any other questions?
Actually, to both, at this stage, right, should we just concentrate on one signature dish or going more varieties? Because we wouldn't know which one is going to be our signature, so it's going to bet on one, or I don't know, from
I think we do the same thing. We squeeze.
Yeah,
I choose data. So it's the same thing. Yeah.
Buy very tough already, still making fertilizer. Okay. Yeah. So I think the concept of MVP, minimum viable product, that's something that that has been brought up as well. I think it's come to a point, when we talk about trends, there has to be personalized, it has to be customized, and you have to change the method of consumption. So all that are actually big trends and all that. So the way I personally like, if you know what is your MVP, that always helps, because it means there's several things. Now we talk about one of the thing about pinpoint. The idea of the product comes from one thing. That one thing that all of you share, sitting across, right now, actually all of us share one thing. The reason we want to come out and build a product is that for us, this is so obvious. How come nobody is doing this? This is so painful for me. I'm sure if it's painful for me, it's painful for everybody. It's come to a point, why do you sit here right now, it's almost 10 o'clock? It's because that, look, this is so painful for me that if I'm not doing something about this, I cannot sleep. I cannot even die. I have to do something, come up with a product, come up with a solution, and solve this. Build on that. So that basically, that one point, if you can come up with a good MVP and then everybody know you for one thing, that's good enough. So for us, when we go to every market, our best seller was that fast cycle plastic. The best country to push it, Europe. We focus only one product for one country. Until now, we still pair it like that. Our product market fit with 600 over formulas, but it's always one product, one market, one product, one segment, one. The more polished you are, that means that the more confident that you understand the segment, the niche, and then you actually got that point, and there's nobody there. So usually when you do enough homework, you find that sweet spot, nobody is there. That's always that.
So you get the answer, right? Yeah. No matter how small is the queue, make sure you're the queue.
And it's then you will find out more hills like that.
Yeah. Generally, you go to other hills.
Yes. So I would rather than everybody broke, I'm doing everything to everybody, I'm B2B, I'm B2C, I'm everything. Then I get very then I start to sweat already. But the more you define, then it's easier for us.
Any other questions? Right? No? So then we'll end